my name is Kayla and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead, one of the greatest shows about death that refused to die. Needless to say, this video is going to be filled with spoilers for The Walking Dead. So if you haven't seen The Walking Dead, go watch it and don't watch this video because there's going to be a hell of a lot of spoilers. And I'm going to talk about what I loved in the show, some of the characters. I'm going to talk about what happened. I'm going to talk about what I wanted to happen. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about The Walking Dead. So first off, The Walking Dead starts with our main protagonist, Rick Grimes. He is a police officer or a sheriff from America. And he wakes up in the hospital. There is a scene before this that the episode starts with, the pilot, where he like walks in the street and finds a zombie girl. But the real beginning of the show is he wakes up in a hospital. He has been shot like in the line of duty and stuff like that. And when he wakes up, the world has fallen apart. He is so confused, and the actor's performance in this pilot episode was so amazing because there is so little for him to play off of. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's zombies and stuff like that around and bodies and stuff, but he only talks to like Morgan and Morgan's son the whole episode. So the whole time it's just this actor, and he does an exceptional job. And I love Rick Grimes as a character. I think he's just so amazing, and he's one of the few protagonists that I'm really just like, without him the show sucks. Which, you know, when the last 2 seasons he's not there, or is it just the last season? I don't know. I didn't watch it because he wasn't there. So if something amazing happens in the last season that I don't know about, honestly, I'm not upset that I missed it because he's not there. And to me, the whole show is about Rick, and the only reason he survives is for his family and for the people around him, which is why this show is so beautiful. It's about death, it's about life, and I really think I snapped with the title, which is like the show about death that wouldn't die. If someone else used that title before, I'm really sorry if I copied it or something, but I genuinely thought I came up with that, so if I did, that's cool, but whatever. Okay, so basically, the show is about zombies. Even though they never say the Z word, they say walkers, what's another one? Geeks. There's a lot of words except zombies, and it's one of those age-old tropes of zombie films and shows where they never say the word zombie, because it's a well-known fact that in most zombie media, it is kind of expected that no one in the world has ever heard about zombies. So yeah, that's really cool, and I just love that little thing that every zombie thing does. They're just like, oh, we're not going to say zombies, and it's kind of like in Shaun of the Dead when they're like, we're not going to say the Z word. And I love that so much. But anyway, sidetrack over. We're going to get back to the show. So I'm going to do a little bit of a rough plot summary for the entire show. This is going to be difficult, but I'm going to try. So we're going to do this and just explain a bit of the plot. I know you guys have probably seen the show, so me doing this is just going to be probably a little annoying, but I need to do this to explain the point that I'm going towards, okay? So this is serious. Okay, so The Walking Dead, like I said, Rick Grimes is the main guy. We meet a lot of different characters throughout the show, but the first group we meet is Shane, Rick's wife, Coral, and a lot of other people. I just want to mention this. In the first season, there is one character that I hated above all else, and her name is Andrea. Am I the only one who really hated Andrea? I'm really sorry. I don't know why, to be honest with you. I really don't know why. But everything about her just annoyed the hell out of me the whole time she was on screen. And when she finally died, I was just like, thank God. I know that sounds messed up, but that's what I felt, okay? Like, genuinely, I don't know why she annoyed me as much. The only reason she was valuable in the show is because Michonne is introduced to save her, and then she becomes a big character. And Michonne is definitely, I'd say, my second favorite character in the show. My first favorite is Rick, and that is rare that the main character is your favorite character in the show, you know? Because a lot of the times the side characters, the comedic relief or whatever, becomes your favorite character. A lot of people's favorite character is Daryl Dixon. He is an amazing character and I really like him. Top 3, I think, for sure. Top 5. But Rick is number 1, you know? And then Michonne, because she rules. But yeah, so basically, this is how the show goes. Rick meets up with a group of people with some of the names I mentioned, and you know, Shane, his wife, his kid, blah blah, extra people who I will be getting into. But basically, that's where he gets introduced to other people again. For a while there, he just goes at it alone after meeting Morgan. I really wish they did more with Morgan in the main show. I know the spin off shows, there is a lot about Morgan and like Michonne and Rick, and there is a lot more. But I'm talking about the core show, okay? Today, we're not really going to talk about the spin offs because I haven't watched them and I really don't have any desire to watch them. I'm just going to be honest about that. I'd have no desire to watch them. And it's probably because the ending of The Walking Dead really fell flat for me. Like I said, I didn't watch the last season, but the ending where I guess my opinion, the ending is where like Rick quote unquote dies, even though he doesn't die, but everyone thinks he's dead. And then the show goes on, and at that point, I pretty much stopped watching, to be honest with you. But yeah, so just keep that in mind if you're like, okay, you didn't mention this, you didn't mention this. And it's because I'm not talking about any of the spin offs or the last season. Okay, so Rick meets up with this group of people, with his family as well. And later we learn that Shane, his best friend, has been canoodling with his wife and taking care of his son, which he is grateful for, and also later upset about because he wasn't there. And Shane is such a good character, and I really wish he lived longer, even though in the moment I was like, God, he's the worst. But also, he added something to the show that was really good. And when he left, even though the show was really good still, when he died, there was something that was missing. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it would have been cool if he stayed on, but I'm still happy with the journey of his character and stuff like that. So I'm not really upset about that. I just think it would have been pretty cool if he could have stuck around for a little longer. Like maybe kill Laurie and have Shane live on a little. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. But okay, so in a slew of chaos, the group keeps moving from place to place basically, and they eventually go to the, like, I almost said the World Health Organization, but they have like another name for it. I think it's like, I don't know, maybe it's the NHS. I think that's like the just in America thing, National Health Service. I don't know. But so basically they move from place to place. And the next time we get them to settle down, they're at a farm with Herschel, which is another character I really love. And I really was upset when he died. And he died in the most crazy way possible. The governor, which is one of the first main villains of the show, kills Herschel and a bunch of other characters. But yeah, I think that storyline was really cool. At times, I was kind of bored when, like, the show has a tendency of dragging out plot lines. Sometimes I didn't mind because the subplots were just as interesting, but as the show goes on, they just keep stretching out plots. And it's not that, like, I'd say until, okay, I'm going to tell you the moment the show died for me. And the part where I wish the show ended is when Carl died. Carl died. That's the point where I was like, the show's done. The show's done. And I just kept watching for a little bit. And then, yeah, I just lost interest. Because even though I don't particularly care about Carl a lot, like I don't, but the whole point of the show is Rick saving Carl. He is alive to be there for Carl. So I just can't say Carl without thinking about the way he says it, and even he jokes about it, Carl. And no disrespect to the actor, I love his accent in the show. But yeah, the moment Carl died, I was like, that's it, the show's done, right? The show's done. And it wasn't done. They kept going and they made spin offs and a lot. And in my opinion, the natural end of the show was Carl's death. I was fine with the way he died. I thought it was really cool and really kind, the way he died. But to me, that was kind of like where the show was about to end, you know? And okay, I'm going to explain my dream ending for the show. I know I like skipped from explaining the plot, but honestly, you guys have seen the show. I will go back a little, but first, I'm going to explain how I wanted the show to end. Okay, so picture this. Picture this pitch meeting. Carl dies just as he did in the show. I'm happy with the way he died. I really didn't see any problems with it. I just wish he kind of died for a character that we knew more, because that doctor character doesn't even live that long after Carl like dies trying to save him, you know? So I think the way he died is fine, but I feel like he should have died for a character that became more important or that was already important. Doesn't matter, but yeah, that was a bit weird. But other than that, I'm fine with the way he died. Okay, so Carl dies. Michonne and Rick are distraught. They are distraught. The plot line goes like it did. Michonne talks to Negan, which we're going to get into Negan a little more later. But Michonne talks to Negan. The letters and things, that's fine. I really loved that. It was awesome. Then we get to the point where Rick slits Negan's throat, you know? And I was like, in that moment, like, yes, kill him. And spoiler alert, they didn't kill him. And even though I know Negan is a fan favorite and I loved his character, but I thought I really wanted him to die there. Because, first of all, I hate him with a passion, the character, but also the character's really good because you hate him, And I don't know, I thought that was a good place for the character to die. I did want that vindication, even though he has room to grow and all of that. I understand why they kept him alive, but I really wanted that moment where, like, it's vindication for the whole season. There was just bloodshed and tears and sadness and misery, and Carl dies. And I wanted that moment where Rick just kills Negan in the most disrespectful way, which is slitting his throat and letting him bleed out. And then I wanted Rick to die. I did want him to die. Not in that scene. I, I, I would have been really happy if Negan died there. And then they do the same plot where they're like trying to connect the different towns. They're trying to build a bridge. And then he dies in that whole episode where he like fake dies, which is so disappointing because that episode is beautiful. It's one of my favorite episodes in the show. The only thing I would change is that he would actually die in that episode, and that would be the end of the show. Because that would have been so poetic. That would have been so poetic and so beautiful, because at the end of the day, Carl dying is the end of Rick's story. Okay? And I know they wanted to stretch it out more. They wanted Rick to be in a spin-off. They could have still done spin-offs without Rick, And I wanted the show to end in a beautiful place, a dark place, because that's what the show is about: death, life, living for those around you, and just the sadness of that world, you know? And I wanted him to go out with a bang. I don't know if he eventually dies in one of the spin-offs. I don't know if he eventually dies in one of the spin-offs. I don't know. But that is the spot where I wanted him to die. And I feel like they set it up so beautifully. And then they did a fake out death. One of many in that season. And don't even get me started on the, what's his name? Glenn fake out death. And then they just kill him in the worst way possible. But anyway, so everything could stay the same except Negan dies and then Rick dies on the bridge. And I feel like that would have been a great ending because then he would have died saving the people he loves, which is what the freaking show is about. And then the show's done. And then we can do spin-offs. You know, you can do a Michonne Daryl spin-off. That's fine. But Negan and Carl and Rick, in my opinion, needed to die, and that would have been a beautiful ending to the show. It's just my opinion. You can tell me in the comments if you differ from that opinion, but I think most people, when they got to like the last few seasons of the show, noticed that the show was really just trying to keep going, like a zombie crawling on the freaking ground, not willing to die. And I think this is just one of those things about shows recently. They refuse to end it. They really do. And this is not a new thing, of course. Like, there's always been shows and series and movie franchises that just refuse to end. But I think this show was one of those shows that I really wanted there to be an ending, and it's a poetic ending, and then the show's done. Because then it's just more meaningful. I know it sounds like, I don't know, just waffling and whatever, but in my opinion, it is more meaningful when a show ends. And especially a show like that. Because what was the point of the whole show? You know what I mean? At this point. Like, what was the point? I'd say until like, how many seasons are there? There are like 11. The show ended at 11 seasons. And then the spin offs came out. But in my opinion, I'd say season 8, 9 was where the show really should have ended. And like, you know, because a lot of the show from like season 8 point on is just stretching out the plot. They do a lot of like, oh my word, the narrative choices they made where they did these episodes that were like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like bottleneck episodes, right? Where it's like a exclusive storyline and then it meets up with another storyline. And then you go back and do another storyline and another storyline until all the characters are together. I don't necessarily hate that style of writing. I think it's fine when you do it like sparingly, but the show started doing that over and over and over again from like season 8 and on, I would say. And like they did it earlier as well, but I think at that point it didn't annoy me as much because they did sparingly. But from that point on, they were just like doing that the whole time, and that became like the style of the show. And I know I'm ranting a lot about this show, but I truly do love this show so much. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, and that's why I'm so disappointed with the way it ended. And yeah, I just had so much hope for the ending, and I think it's so sad when you like hope for a show to end in a good way. And I know it's not rare for amazing shows to fall flat at the ending because it is so hard to do a good ending. That is really true. Like, to write a perfect ending is difficult, and I get that. But I feel like this show set up to have the perfect conclusion, and they just like dropped the ball by wanting to make more. And yeah, that's just another way. Everyone just wants to make money instead of writing a beautiful story. But I think I still love the show so much, and I rewatch it. You know, I just started it again from the beginning, and I really just, when you go back to the beginning, and you like see the journey again, you just realize how good the show is. And it's sad that when you get to those later seasons, you're like, well, you lost the plot. You know, what's the point? There's a lot of fake endings and fake death and useless gore. And it is a gory show. But the gore always had a purpose, and it was like not overdone, which sounds crazy because there's a lot of gore, but it meant something in the plot. But anyway, so the point of this video is Rick Grimes should have died. When Carl died, the show died. Even though I don't really care about Carl, and Negan should have died. Okay. That's all I have to say about The Walking Dead. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.